Welcome to Art Speak with Kate. I am Kate Brown. Join me visit the Comox First Nations Band, where art and culture are alive and vibrant. Art has always been part of the Comox culture, but now a new generation is excited about re-establishing the culture in new, high-tech ways. Watch Andy Everson, artist, anthropologist, create new images on the computer to be screen printed with high-tech laser technology by graduate students at Wylie. Preview First Nations fashion and home decor pieces designed and produced for wholesale and web marketing. See traditional silversmithing techniques used to make modern, museum-quality works of art. Relearn how to make button blankets the ancestors used to wear. And watch as Comox dancer performs to the music and rhythm of the ceremonial drums in the big house. Andy Everson, artist, anthropologist, communicates the Idle No More image and message across the world through social media.
This particular image is called Idle No More, and it was created for the Idle No More movement, which happened a few years ago. I was going to my first Idle No More protest here in the Comox Valley and decided that I wanted to create an image that kind of evoked the Northwest Coast, but also reflected the theme of the fist and the feather and kind of the meanings behind this power and the sacredness of this feather, and create this image that our people here on the coast could use. So I put it up on Facebook, and it immediately started to be shared thousands and thousands of times, and then shared throughout the world.
Andy was inspired by his mother and grandmother to draw and retell traditional stories and legends. As a kid, he remembers dressing up in family regalia found in old boxes.
I started drawing as a child. My mom taught me my first little bits of Northwest Coast art, and I grew up around our artwork, especially when I'd come to my house here. My grandmother lived here when I was a child, and once in a while she'd bring out some of our family regalia. And for our people, we always store away our most sacred possessions inside storage boxes, and so she'd bring them out occasionally, and then we'd put on our blankets and put on different carved headpieces and things like that. And so I think looking at the old pieces, that was my initial inspiration. Going to potlatches and seeing the pieces being danced, that was a major inspiration. It wasn't until later on in adulthood, when I was off in university, not even studying art or anything, I was doing a couple degrees in anthropology, I started to work more in our art forms and started to pursue that as kind of a side passion that eventually rolled into a full-fledged career.
Andy works on a drum design on Salish art on the computer using crescent shapes, positive and negative, balance and space.
This particular one is it's more reminiscent of Salish art. It's a little different. It's different than the northern style form line design, which I primarily do, but sometimes I'll dabble in the art forms of that are a little more specific to this area or a little farther south. By touching the circles, you end up with a negative space here forming a crescent. And Northwest Coast art is really, a lot of it's concerned with the balance between positive and negative space. And so different parts of the coast will be characterized by different kind of balances of positive and negative space. I live in a place that I'm able to be inspired by other artists and hopefully inspire other artists as well. So it's kind of a give and take relationship. And I think as a First Nations artist, I think adding kind of an Indigenous perspective on arts is really vital to helping sustain this vibrant artist community here.
In the Comox Valley, I am Kate Brown. A young screen printer is starting her career using modern laser screen print technology to apply Auntie Everson's art to garments, blankets, home decor items for a growing wholesale market.
I started screen printing when I was 13 years old, and I've been working at the Wylie Friendship Center for a year and a bit now, and it's a long, difficult process, and it's more technical than than most people think. So the creative process is just a really fun thing to be in.
You're really enjoying the creative process?
I am, yes.
It's always been Comox tradition to apply art to everyday objects like clothes, blankets, tools and furniture. Today, people like modern things with modern designs. Erin Brilion started applying Auntie Everson's art to fashion clothing, blankets, home decor, pillows and tea towels. Erin sourced natural materials and aims to have items sewn and printed locally.
In a modern home, we as Haida people still want to see those motifs on things in the home, but nobody at this time is making things like throw pillow covers and tea towels and things like that. So we decided to do a line of eco-friendly textiles. And basically, I was inspired to do the eco-friendly because I was doing work with the Earth Guardians in Colorado, and we were at a gathering, and I heard all about how toxic the whole fashion industry and home textiles industry really is. And it was a huge eye-opener to me because I thought, I don't want to be contributing to the toxifying of our planet and the destruction of our planet by doing this business. So it took many months to source the right kinds of fabrics and to make sure that everything that we're doing is eco-friendly. My mother was an art broker, so from the time I was about 14, I was helping her put on art shows and promoting Native art. My mom actually was the one who initially wanted to do a business where she put designs on home decor items.
Erin's brother, Brilion, once a fisherman, was inspired by a silver bracelet presented to him at graduation to work with silver. And now he hand makes museum-quality silver and gold works of art.
When I finished high school, my family presented me with a Reprise silver bracelet by Don Yeomans, and it was really sculpted, kind of like what I'm doing now. It was like a mask, and to see and hold a piece of Reprise like that really shocked me, and I didn't realize how you could sculpt metal like that. So I think that was probably one of my first, one of the first pieces I actually held in my hand of Reprise that really inspired me to learn how to do it.
Jessie has recently been awarded an honourable ribbon at the Santa Fe Fair against scores of other jewellery makers.
I think I first was inspired to do my art when I was about 7 or 8 years old, and it was my first fishing experience on Haida Gwaii. And my grandfather showed me a lot of places that my family used to have summer camps, and showed me the land, and I think it was the land and the connection I felt towards it that kind of inspired me to start producing art.
Jessie's own story of a shipwreck inspired his designs for silver.
This is a sea wolf. It's a mythical being who it's known to sometimes, if you look at them too long in the water, they'll swamp your boat. We were on the mainland. We were going to travel to Haida Gwaii to go fish, and as soon as the weather broke, we started making our way across Hecate Straits, and our boat rolled over halfway across, and we were stranded on Banks Island for 8 days.
Lee Everson, wife of Chief Rob Everson, now runs the Comox Dance Cultural Society. The Comox Dance Cultural Society was established with a mandate to revive the dance and traditional cultural ceremonies, to follow the Elders' Protocol, and to be inclusive.
My involvement with the Comox Cultural Society, we started having requests for showcasing the Comox First Nations, like the culture and the traditions and such. And it was Andy actually who started, because he was working in the school district at that time. And he had to start being able to showcase and be able to do songs and dances and that type of thing. So that's how the family just started to learn. And the Rotary Bob McQuillan, he was actually our first person who contacted and said, can we do something in the big house? Can you show us some of your songs and dances and that? And that was 20 years ago.
The dancers feel that by encouraging young members of their community to learn the ancient songs and dances of their people, they will ensure the survival for generations to come. Lee's daughter Keisha, now a school teacher, shows us the ceremonial dancers and the hand and body movements, moving counterclockwise in rotation with the universe.
I've always been taught that you don't really look at your hands. So you don't really look at like where you're going. You don't make eye contact with other dancers or spectators generally. So it's very much that the dancer is autonomous, that they are in their own world and they are themselves. So when I dance, I always look away from where my hands are. So if my hands are on my right side, I'm going to look to the left. If they're on my left side, I'm going to look to the right. And then whenever we turn, we always turn counterclockwise towards the heart. Right? That's counterclockwise, yeah. Counterclockwise towards the heart, so that in our world, that is keeping with the rotation of the universe.
Keisha has been dancing since age 8 or 9 and now teaches dance to others.
Yeah, I actually teach in Campbell River. I teach in ST72, so part of my job is teaching language and culture in that context. And then as a member of the Comox Cultural Society, I have a responsibility to help teach new members of the dance group how our songs go, how to dance them, what the meaning behind the words and the hand actions are, so that they can understand what role they're playing when they come into this kind of space or any kind of dance space, what the dances are representing.
Cousin Jessie Everson has just returned from Aboriginal Leadership Conference for over 2,000 youth. Just look at the t-shirt.
There was 2,000 youth there, and so it was over a span of a few days, like Monday to Wednesday, and so we got to go to workshops, and there was a youth talent show, and there was Gathering Our Voices dance. So it was really fun, and they really know how to get the youth involved and get them aware of social society around them.
There he has taught younger dancers to communicate through dance to keep the activity alive.
It's been amazing, actually. Our family and like the Comox family, we're really tight and we really enjoy hanging out with each other, and so they just learn by being involved and being present. So it's an easy thing to do when you have such interest in culture.
And I think it's really important that one of the big roles that the Comox Cultural Society plays is that we are open to sharing our culture with anyone. Because
Very inclusive.
Yeah, very inclusive, which is really important for reconciliation, for like abolishing things like ignorance and racism and like hateful attitudes that have been dominant in Canada across the country for hundreds of years. That the Comox Valley is a pretty unique place. Like people that come here, First Nations and non-First Nations alike, they go, this is pretty unique. We're uniquely situated right in the middle of the Comox Valley, and Courtenay, Comox, and Cumberland, they're all very open to bringing in culture and traditions, which I think helps all of our community members understand a little bit more about what Aboriginal people are like and what they've experienced.
Thanks to the Comox First Nation and the Everson and Brilion families for sharing their art with Art Speak with Kate. In the Comox Valley, I am Kate Brown.